Hello and welcome to Design Under Influence. We have something interesting to talk about today. Our mission on Earth is to help architecture, design, and engineering firms operate more effectively by solving their IT, your IT, so your teams can focus on doing your best work. Now, today's episode, we're going to cover why your printer, network printer specifically, may not be printing. So what we do, we pick out some of the more common issues out of our queue of support tickets from architecture clients throughout, USA that we help out. And then we try to zero in and answer and sort of basically help you understand and potentially fix very common issues that others are having. And one of those issues, Boris and I discovered, was big printing problems as of recently for a lot of network printers, specifically Ricoh, but others as well. And there's a deeper problem for it. So what we'll do is we'll cover what the problem may be and then walk through some of the potential solutions. Maybe we can help your IT engineers. Maybe we already are your IT providers, then yours is fixed, hopefully, right? Anyway, without further ado, my co-host, Boris Rappaport, CEO of ArcIT, the man, the brain behind the operation. Man, lead us in.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, everybody. So printing problems, I guess we'll start with some background, why we're even bringing this up, because printing is supposed to be simple and network printing is supposed to be simple. And it kind of was up until most recently when Microsoft discovered that they have a really big vulnerability in their printing stack. So basically what they've discovered is through some simple machinations, a bad actor or an attacker can get onto a print server. And, the way network printing works is that, your computer, when it talks to a print server to install a printer, it downloads a bunch of files so that it knows.
Like a print driver.
Yeah, they're called the print driver. And it's basically, the print driver is not just one file, it's a bunch of smaller files that tell the computer all the instructions that it needs so that it can properly format, the print job, because each manufacturer has their own little tweaks that needs to be done, and actually send out the correct printing output to the printer as an end result. So what Microsoft discovered is the bad guys can get into the print server fairly easily and upload a different print driver, and nobody will ever know. And the next time you're trying to install that printer or trying to update your print driver when your computer has an outdated one, it will pull it from the server, and instead of pulling the actual print driver, it will pull the files that the bad actors put there. It could be ransomware, it could be just other spyware or other viruses. So basically your print server becomes a distribution point for all the bad software that the bad guys put on there. So huge no-no, especially in the larger offices. It's easier that you can get affected, get all the computers infected basically at one time.
Go ahead. Can I color this up a little bit for us less technical people?
Please.
I'll color this up. So you're familiar with like they call it COVID super spreader events, like when you go to a concert, nobody's wearing a mask and like a lot of people get sick. Well, it's kind of similar. Your printer is essentially becomes the super spreader of the malware. And it has potential to become a super spreader of the malware across your whole organization. And that is a potentially bad situation. So Microsoft discovered that, and they did what, Boris?
And they've put tweaks in place, basically to lock down the ability, for the spread of these viruses and bad files. They basically, on your computers, they've made a change to where only administrators of the computer can install print drivers. Basic users cannot. So you have to have administrative permissions. On the printers, on the print servers, they made a change to where it doesn't automatically push the drivers out, even if it has the later version. Administrator has to go in and actually manually push the driver out. So there were a lot of changes that they kind of did to prevent, to mitigate the risk of these type of attacks, which, did the trick. But at the same time, they broke the printing for most network printers. So last year, basically around September, October timeframe, we had a lot of calls from our customers about the network printing, which we've subsequently resolved by basically removing the mitigations that Microsoft put in place. So the only way to walk around that at that time was to remove the mitigations that Microsoft has put in place. So that's where we stood. And after that, Microsoft came out with a recommendation to start using a different type of print driver. And basically that print driver, which they call a V4 version 4 or a type 4 print driver, doesn't require the print server to send the files to your computer. All it really requires is basically just a pointer, and then it tells your computer to go and download the file from Windows Update, or if the latest driver is already on your computer, then you just use that driver, which makes it, right, which basically bypasses the whole printer nightmare scenario and allows, for network printing to function properly, which is great. And that's once that kind of became well known, that's what we did for many of our customers as we went in and made the changes, upgraded them to type 4 drivers for their printers.
Gotcha. So now we're sitting in, April, May 2022. Are we still seeing, what are we seeing out in the, relating to that same printer issue? Have most people upgraded to V4, or there's still some laggards and people with vulnerabilities open? What do you see as a lay of the land right now?
So right now, most people that have printers that are from HP, Canon, and Xerox are using the V4 drivers. What we found is some of our clients that have Ricoh printers, the V4 drivers were not properly written to fully support this type of functionality. There's actually a lot of manual workarounds that need to be put in place, like specifically creating a separate driver package for each one of the workstations and then deploying that package. There's no automatic downloads, as I was talking about, from either local store or Windows Update. You actually have to pre-install a lot of that software ahead of time, which was not necessarily disclosed by the manufacturer, Ricoh in particularly, beforehand. So our expectation was that it would behave just like any other Type 4 driver from HP or Canon. So the issue we ran into is once we started deploying those things for Ricoh, it turned out that broke the printing as well. So we had to, basically spend a couple weeks trying to troubleshoot this issue with Ricoh support until we finally got some people that really knew what was going on. And then they have an internal article that kind of describes the whole process and how to work around that, but it's not publicly available information. So, so that was, from our standpoint, I'm glad that we got to a point where we have this knowledge now. And I'm also trying to share that as much as possible with the rest of the community and the architecture community so that they understand if for some reason their Ricoh printer is not printing on the network, there may be some issues that require intervention and fixing.
So we've spent 2 weeks chasing this down, got to the right people, and have the procedures now in place. Are we able to help out other IT companies and or other architecture firms who are not our clients? Do you mind if, is it something that shareable that we can share as a solution with others?
I think so. I don't see why not.
Okay. So those of you who are having this problem, even if you're an IT provider, no problem. Just reach out to us and save yourself a couple of weeks of heartache and wasted labor, because we already did that for you. Just hit us up at getarchit.com, which is our website, and just do contact us and just mention that, hey, can you help out with the Ricoh network printing solution? And we'll do our best. So that's for Rico, guys. So you just never know what what and when goes wrong, and then just got to go and be diligent and chase it down. Seemingly trivial issue ended up being a big time suck for everyone. Anything else? Any other advice that we can offer to folks out there who maybe don't have Rico but still having problems?
I mean, as I mentioned before, printing should be a solved problem right now. But if you're an architecture firm and you are struggling with printing, there could be different things that we may need to look at, whether it's driver compatibility, application compatibility, or just misconfiguration on the printer side. And we can definitely help figuring any of that out if anybody wants to reach out to us.
Yeah, and we'll do it. We'll just do it at just as a service without you don't need to be a customer or pay for it. We're open to help where we can, and hopefully, potentially, eventually, if you need an IT provider, you can look into us. But hey, we'll just give you advice and point you in the right direction. Boris, hey, thanks a lot, man, for taking the time to kind of dive deeper into this. Folks, if you have a printing issue, hit us up at getarchit.com. Just to contact us and just say, hey, I have any printing issue. So your podcast have any printing issue, and we'll take care of it.
Thanks, everyone. Have an awesome day, and contact us if you have any issues with printing or otherwise.
Be well, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.